Yes.
Hello.
Hi. It's great to be here. We're here to talk about how AI can transform the ways of working. Of course, there's the technology, but actually, when we're talking about how it really transforms the business, it's about the ways of working. We have a practical and real case that we're going to go through, but first, let's go into the context, because there really is a context. At ISS Finland, ISS is a huge global company, but at ISS Finland, we have around 4,000 customers. We came to the realization that our quality reporting wasn't quite there. And we use it for internal purposes and for our customers, so it wasn't quite there. We presented these PDF reports to our customers, but all the reporting actually in the field was done mobile. So there was a crack in the process. It wasn't quite there. We really didn't know what the good would look like. And at that point, we also didn't have the time to make those requirements, because it would have taken time. So we actually were in this finding, the quality reporting needs to be better. Okay? Should you contact your partner with that kind of a vague question? Do I admit that I have no idea what I should be doing? It's a bit of a risky situation, because then you would be handing out an unlimited budget to your partner. And how would that go? In this session here, we're going to walk you through how we actually ended up doing exactly that, and how actually the partnership is the one that helped us with this. So, Marco, can you please go through the case?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about a bit of how ideas become prototypes or even products. And if you think about it, there's the old way. So, for instance, here the blue is ISS and the gray is Solita. And the way that we might collaborate in the old way would be that there's a need in some ISS department for some person, and they try to describe that need to another person, and they will write a spec about it, and that spec will then go to Solita side, and that will be a proposal, or we will answer with proposal. And typically what happens is that people don't understand each other, so there's a bit of back and forth. At some stage, we start developing the solution and designing and all that stuff. Of course, there's some collaboration between the parties, but in Agile world, it typically is like every 2 weeks we have a demo of it. And then eventually there's a kind of go live. And this takes weeks, or in some cases, months. But since we had this vague kind of, please make reporting better, no requirements truly, so we thought that, okay, how we could actually approach this? So we started moving to a new way of working in a way. So in simple terms, we took like all the different people from these boxes and we made them as a team, both from ISS and our side. So, okay, there's a team. What happens with this is that we actually do everything in this team. There's no proposal, there's no RFP, there's no requirements, there's no backlog. So how on earth it's going to work? And we actually, as it says CollabAI, it's collaboration, but with AI. So what we did was that AI became a team member of this team. So this team is given a task, make reporting, quality reporting better. They are using AI for that. I'm going to show what that means soon. And it's interesting what happened to the time aspect. So, of course, this in reality looks like this. So in this room, we have all the skills. We have data folks, we have design, we have development, we have user of this report. We have the business people knowing what is the business case, why this quality reporting is existing. And we are using basically AI tools to develop the solution for this. So this is how it looked in practice. And if I just put the fundamentally, what's the CollabAI then? It's bringing just all brilliant minds to working on the same thing at the same time, at the same space, virtual or physical, and with actually one computer, which was interesting, which has all the AI capabilities. So how does this fit to the problem at hand? What happened in those couple of days? So here's the overall timeline. It took us 3 days to get everything done in a way that, well, I describe what it is. So we started by welcoming, because we actually hadn't worked together. So we had to actually agree on a bit of how do we work together with AI. Of course, we had done actually this way of working in a kind of a research setting with ISS earlier. So we had already kind of some thinking of what's CollabAI, how does it look like. But looking at this in the new team that hasn't worked together, we actually need to agree a bit of like, how do we then do this work? So that took some time. So imagine just taking that like 1 hour, moving 1 hour by 1 hour. Then we started working, and of course the first question that we had was like, what does success look like? Because the only brief that we had was that make quality reporting better. We had the PDF report. We of course had the data, because we knew what's the data behind the PDF report. Then we agreed how success may look like, and of course we had the user and the business in the room, so they told us what they would like to have. And then we started working at around 12 o'clock, we had first prototype. And in the end of the first day, we had 15 prototypes tested with the user who is in the room.
Imagine that, in a day. Normally just the onboarding would take, I don't know, weeks, months.
Yeah. And it's interesting that we actually chose to come to the next day. We could have stopped there, in a way. But we asked ourselves that what's the ambition level that we want to reach? And one of the success criteria is that we want to show this to the end customer of ISS, not only internal quality people who are using the report for internally, but actually go on day 3 and test with real client. Because that's the first time we have a chance to meet the client. It wasn't in the agenda with the client, but we thought that, okay, let's put it in the agenda. So then on the day 2, we basically worked in the similar fashion, but now we were implementing new features to the reporting, like adding video and audio support. You will soon see the prototypes, and work on visual improvements of the prototype. And build finally the navigation between the reports, because these are trending reports. You get to see quality of a site where there's ISS services delivered, so that is recurring report. And then on the day 3, ISL's one of the person who was in the team was presenting this to the end customer, the biggest customer of ISS. So if you look at the prototypes, this was the first one, then the second one, third one, fourth one. Oh no, actually this is the final one, the 15th one. But you can see the kind of iterations we went through. And I think that if you look at from the internet, you can find like people talk about vibe coding. But the sad part there is that they do it alone. That doesn't help, because you need feedback. And that was, I think, the game changer here, that even the AI is able to deliver you fast prototypes. If you don't have the right people in the room, you end up waiting. Now, if you think about this in larger scale, what does it mean? If you take like design sprint, is probably which is kind of the de facto of this is how you should do iterative fast design. It tells you that you can get one prototype tested in a week. If you think about the cost of a team for that, now I'm using just the average salary of Nordics as a basis for this team, you get the kind of numbers that you get the tested prototype, one test the prototype with that lump sum. What here is interesting is that suddenly the cost of prototyping goes really low. So the question is, how can your organization then actually benefit out of this? Because if you don't have the feedback, as I said, you don't actually get the validated prototypes, even you get plenty of prototypes. So, but there's obviously kind of a financial gains as well. And also like speed of innovation is an interesting kind of an aspect of it. So it's not only like cost savings, but actually generating new value.
And also a process to fail fast, truly. Because we always dream about failing fast, but then it's always a bit difficult. But this actually gives a platform how to fail fast with those prototypes that didn't quite last.
I mean, I didn't show you 15 prototypes because obviously we failed a lot. I just showed like 4 or 5, which actually made sense in a way that we didn't went back and forth. And of course, we were just testing one of the quality reporting kind of aspects, but we could have like chosen go to different ideas. But we were always asking us that what's the next thing, that what's most valuable thing to do, and that's why we didn't need even the backlog. Now, these are the people who were in the team telling how it felt. So the product owner, who was as part of the team, who was actually the one that went to present to the largest customer of ISS, that's how he felt about it. That typically this would take, there would be delays, approvals, waiting for the next person to give their input and all that. Even the development time as such might be quite small with the help of AI or whatnot, but the delays in the process of the flow and the queues in the flow would cause a lot of waiting. And then on the development side, you may think that, okay, but the developer is really busy, or it's just like, okay, next prompt, and then I get a new version. What is interesting that from the developer's point of view, who were in the team, they also felt that, well, as said, they couldn't be able to code even with the perfect spec, and here's the UI, do it. They wouldn't in those 2 days been able to do that. So the value proposition is quite clear. There's the time to value. There's higher quality because we have many eyes looking at the same thing and validating if it's correct. Because you know that the AI will produce also a lot of stuff that isn't that correct. And of course, we have like all the skills on the same team, though, so we can actually look at it and argue or kind of challenge whatever is that we are looking at from all the different aspects. So we don't need to wait for, once again, the feedback about what is wrong. And then there's the possibility of higher impact, because if you can iterate faster, you can probably shoot for higher impact outcomes. So, Jenny, what does this all mean for ISS? And how do you feel about it?
So, about the real impact, what it actually does for ISS is that ISS, we're not a development company. It's not our job to develop. It's serving our customers in their businesses and making sure that their people thrive in their businesses and our people are happy in what they do. But we also need to understand that we're not isolated from the world. Everything is changing at the moment. The buying is changing, the selling is changing, ways of working is changing, and we need to grasp into that. And we need to be rapid with that. And it's also a given fact that when we are sending a proposal to our client at the moment, the first one reading the proposal is AI. We need to be prepared for that as well, as in probably all businesses. Then we look into the sort of element of speed, because we need to be quick to react to our customers' needs. We don't always have the luxury of writing down requirements, having 3 months of preparation time. It usually is quite fast that we need to react to our customers' needs. And CollabAI in this, I think it truly gave us the way of not just coping with the change and the transformation and the speed, but also to lead that in order to make sure that we are the best partner for our customers as well. Then let's stay a bit on the concept of quality. Because if we consider AI as a savings plan, we got it all wrong. It's not about saving. Our goal with AI is to upskill our people, to make sure that we grow and we create services for our customers that probably wouldn't be created before. And AI should be a collaborator in that, a partner, a team member, not something that we are using it for. Like Marco said, 15 prototypes a day. I don't know about you, but with traditional methods, it would take just weeks, and maybe the quality level wouldn't be at the same point that it was after those 2 days. Thirdly, we learned in the process that those diverse teams with everyone who were involved with that development were in that room, in that workshop, the very same time. The diverse teams, the psychological safety that comes within having that joint goal for the working, no matter what the working thing is, but to have that joint goal, that created such a level of quality that we hadn't seen before. We went from not knowing what to do into third day presenting that to our biggest client, biggest customer. You might imagine we wouldn't go there empty-handed, like we have something going on. That's not how you approach your big customer. After those 2 days, we were certain enough that we can actually promote this proposal to our customer and make sure that they understand and they have something to grasp into and maybe say that, okay, this is something that would be good for us. So these are the impact and takeaways that we've had.
Could you touch more about the safety of team and inclusiveness? Because you've been trying this in other places as well.
Yeah, glad you asked. We also have used it in internal purposes, in IT. When you're it's just a couple of weeks ago, we were documenting enterprise architecture with my team. Like documenting, everyone loves it, right? Everyone wants to read those documents. Yeah. It's really something that always gets left behind, and someone maybe does it at some point. But we had CollabAI workshop for that. And one of the experts in the workshop was a bit uneasy that this takes a bit long time. If I would have done it myself, it would have been faster. But the problem there is that it would have been an individual knowledge. It was that one expert doing that documentation. But in this collab workshop, we could share that knowledge. So everyone involved was at the exposure of the same information and how this actually is done. And that was really something to see how this sort of individual knowledge becomes a shared knowledge and starts to serve the team. It could be anything, but for us it was this, and it was really fundamental to see that.
Right.
Good.
I guess we're done here.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to our story.
Thank you.
Hoping this would do something to you too.
Yep.